So today we have a Razor scooter that apparently needs some love. The back tire's popped and it's gonna go inner tube and tire. Can't really make these tubeless. I've tried them before, but the motors and stuff are just designed too poorly. So there's no real time. This is loose. I'm gonna have to retap these bolts out probably, or screws. That's all loose. Take off the work order. And the other issue we have, working on the D2400 right there, but as you can see here, this is broken. So the folder's loose. This is going to be fixed. We'll adjust these screws, and then we're going to have to take this all apart and retighten all this eventually. So, but yeah. So, it's a lead acid batteries, nothing fancy. But yeah, we'll show you the steps here of how we're going to take this bad boy apart and start trying to fix it. Hopefully everything goes good. I mean, it turns on. So that's step one to a lot of these issues. And the batteries still are holding 38 volts out of 42. So it's not like perfect, but I don't know when it was charged last. So that makes a big difference too. But yeah, we'll show you how we're going to remove the back tire, get that replaced, and then we'll tap out the screws and then fix the headset. So we just got to remove this back plastic piece. It's Phillips. I already did the other side, saved some time for the video. So you got to remove two of them. There's one, and then the second one. Don't lose the screws. Be careful. All right, 19. It's probably pretty tight. So yeah, the motor's probably just gonna fall. I'm gonna probably hold on to it here. Because the motor wire in here is pretty long. We could take the deck lid off if we need to give us more room. But normally I don't really need too much. I was just gonna say, this one seems a little tighter than most, but we'll do something like this. A lot of people might not agree with this, but I already know the motor wire in there has a ton of space, so if I need it, I can do it. So. But yeah, this is kind of what I do. A lot of people will judge me for it. But what we'll do then, just because so I don't hear any flack from anybody. Alright. So this deck lid will come off. Alright, let's make sure this stuff doesn't fall. So then, when we're working in here, I don't know if you can see, here is the motor wire. So what we can do is give us more slack and fish it through temporarily. I'll lean this up on my desk here, just cause, and then you can see how now I have more room and more time to work on it. Reason I'm not disconnecting everything is the amount of time to ratio / I'm just going to be careful. I've been doing this for years, and I'm going to be honest with you, I don't think I've ever damaged a motor wire ever out of all the scooters I've worked on, because I'm just careful, you know. So I don't know what to tell people when they're all like, oh, it's so dangerous, this and that. Yeah, it might be. Oh man, I forgot. So last time I did this inner tube tire, this was a pain in the butt to get this out. Gosh, I forgot how hard that was. They use a little screw in there, and then this guy, you know, it's tight too. If I can get the cap off. Oh, this is why this sucks when the tire gets popped. I don't know if it's been replaced before. Actually, this one looks like it's been done before, or something's been done to it, because it doesn't have the little, or maybe they changed revisions, but it doesn't look like it has the little screw in there. And this is just not even working. Like well, there we go. Pushed it out the inner tube. Stop being new, but normally there's a little screw. Oh, nope, it's in there and it's loose. So there's It's hard to see this, but there's a little screw in there. You see it? It's 8 mil socket. So like we can try to get that with 8 mil, but last time I tried, I mean, there was like no room in there. So I just like kind of spun it out because I tried using my 8 mil socket I have and was not it's not cooperating. Yeah, I don't think I'm making the attempt, but I don't think that's gonna happen. So, knowing that now, we're just gonna try to take the tire off for a sec, see what happens. I don't really know, but sometimes those valve stems, when they're down in there deep and the tire pops and things shift all around, and then it's like impossible to move stuff. And then I'm working, like, see now since I got a little bit of working room, you know, we'll take this tire off and then we might be able to then address the inner tube issue. And the problem is too, is these inner tubes, when this happens, is the reason I'm having difficulty right now is it literally stretches all around this. It turns into a big rubber band. And it's just like a pain in the butt. Because I can't get the leverage I need to get this off. And see, I'm not getting any of the leverage because of, we'll have to go backwards here. And then we'll go like this. But see how the inner tube's torn in there and everything? And it's like wrapped around in there like a freaking rubber band. Yeah, that makes it real easy. It's actually kind of the hard part of this. Because trying to go outside the rubber band. Smaller the tires, harder they are. Gosh, you know, and everyone's gonna be like, oh, you're messing up the rim, this and that. Well, sometimes you gotta manhandle this shit. Oh, it's all because this inner tube is wrapped up in here like a rubber band and stretched all around in there, and I can't do anything. So I'm trying to like get the tire off, and I can't get the inner tube and all that off because of the stupid screw in there. That's why people bring me their broken shit though, because they don't want to fix it. Alright. I think we're past the point now. Alright. And this is the issue we're running into, is this inner tube was stretched all up in there. And then I have to try to get this screw out, which the easiest way I learned is taking an inner tube like this and spinning it. See? Look here. That's what I'm doing. It's the easiest way, in my opinion. Trying to get a tool down there. You can see they tried to do stuff, all those scuff marks. Someone's tried to make an attempt on this and then couldn't do it. So, well, looks like I slightly nicked myself. Alright, is this far enough out that I can just push this and spin it manually? Yeah. Alright. So the thing that we were trying to get off this entire time was this. And I hold on that. I think they're so stupid. So, see this tire, pretty worn. See the new tire. It's directional. I'm probably gonna heat this up with a heat gun and get it hot. I'm probably not gonna show that part of the video, but I'm gonna warm this up with a heat gun. Reason being is it's more flexible. You can use hot water, you can use a bunch of things. Everyone's got their own preference, but I prefer a heat gun because it's just more convenient and it holds the temp longer than hot water does because I can get it up hotter. But that's what I'm gonna do, and then we will show the tire install here. Like I said, I'm being careful with the motor wire. Look, nothing's damaged, everything's good. You know, like obviously this thing's seen better days, but we'll show you that in a sec. Okay, tire's warm, it's flexy, it's hot, kind of unlimited time. Inner tube, make sure you position it the correct way. I usually tuck it inside the tire first. It's a flatter one, so it's kind of nicer for this design. 8-inch tires. I'm gonna be honest with you, the smaller they are, the bigger pain in the butt they are. I always try to put the valve stem through first, so I'm not battling that. It's like the hardest part, because there's not a lot of room in here, and the way they're designed, it's not really designed the best. So just take your time. Alright, I got snug in there. Alright, you gotta be careful here because you can really, really easily pop the inner tube on these things. And when I mean easily, probably on a scale of 1 to 10, you just look at it and it's gonna pop. Alright, so that heat really helps me pop it on. I'm gonna make sure, I'm gonna tuck this inner tube in here around the end to make sure it's not on that. And then we have to start working away around the rim. And it's warm, so that's what's making this a little easier. And I'm still having slight difficulty because I'm trying to get it jammed into the bottom of the rim. And then once you do that, you can kind of keep pushing the tire in. And then spots. I prefer to use my hands on smaller tires and then use the tire levers towards the end. A lot of people might disagree with that. But the amount of inner tubes that I have popped by just staring at them, it's just crazy, you know? You know, all the videos and other stuff you see everywhere, it's like, oh, it's super easy, this and that. It is not. Don't let them trick you. See, I'm running into an issue already, so we'll see what happens. Prefer not to use tire levers because every time I've ever used tire levers, see, it's way too taut. You know, I guess we'll just risk it. I have more inner tubes, worst case, but this is why you don't do this, because you pop inner tube. So we'll take a risk, see what happens. You know, you want to be careful. I mean, part of this tire looks like it got tucked in, so you might be okay. But that's kind of what happens. All right, I'm being careful with the motor wire, obviously. And then look, we got doomed because the valve stem popped up. Wonderful. So we'll have to come back to this. All right, so what you want to do first is when you're putting the tire on that's hot, is we're going to push the valve stem through. We just had a failed attempt a second ago, so I don't know what's going to happen this time. Oh, and it looks like the reason being is I had the inner tube all goofing around. So, you know, I don't prefer to do it this way. I prefer to tuck it into the tire, and that's the best method. But if I'm running into issues like I am right now the tire's not as hot too because this is my second attempt, so we'll see how that goes. All right, looks like we're getting kind of lucky. And the first attempt, how I failed was I didn't have the valve stem in there, and then it popped out on me. It's probably from me working this tire around. So, like I said, tried to squeeze the tire tiny, pop it in the rim. Easier said than done. I'm running into some difficulties. I'll have to use a little bit of tire levers, which I'm super against. But I'm just trying to tuck that in there tight. Otherwise, nothing's gonna happen. I don't want to do that. And we don't even know if the inner tube's not popped right now because it could be. You know, I'm gonna be honest with you. These tires are terrible. You know, the smaller the tire, more work, more leverage. Obviously, be careful of the motor wire like I am. And we'll see what happens, but I don't have a lot of faith. And then pumping these up is always a pain in the butt too, so we'll show that in a sec. So, moment of truth here, if I didn't mess with the inner tube. And we're looking good. So I always go a little higher PSI than it's supposed to be. Makes it easier, because when I disconnect this, it leaks a little bit of air. It's 50 PSI in these smaller tires. I know it sounds insane, but that's what it is. And this valve stem too. So, as you can see here, it's a little crooked. That shouldn't matter too much. You can just push it over here. There you go. But yeah, these customers and how these scooters are made, I mean, they can't even really do any of this work. I mean, alright, so I'm gonna flip this thing over. It's got these washers, you know, that go in. So once we flip this down, the washer goes like that because it goes down, because of what grab it and hold it up in there. So make sure you put them similar. Be careful obviously with the motor wire, like always. And I'm just going to sneak this in here. There's flat axles. It's pretty easy. Just take your time. So, oh, come on. Yeah. Come on. This thing's like made out of steel. This scooter is quite ghetto. Alright, make sure you move the wires back down from when you pulled them out with the motor wire. So that makes a difference. The other thing too is I always use Loctite on everything. It's just not worth it. Shit coming loose, someone falling off, someone getting hurt. So, just isn't worth it. Power wrench. Usually gets the right torque level for something like this. Just check the tautness. That worked good. But yeah, this has, you use this tire as the brake too, so it's kind of stupid. But yeah, that's the tire install. You know, I'm gonna put the back plastic pieces on. They go there obviously, match accordingly. Put the screws in, and then move forward, and we're going to show you the other part here. I got to put the deck lid back on and all that, but that's not important to show you. But that's our part. Now we're going to go fix the other part in the headset. So you can see how loose this is. All that noise. So 2.5 millimeter. And what we're going to do is you loosen this top screw, which is the set screw. Okay. And then we're just going to tighten this one in. We're going to spin this in a few times. And then you tighten the set screw. And that's going to hold it. And that moves this little bumper up right here. So in that way, when I do this, it's more snug. And it needs to be a little bit more snugged. So we'll adjust it just a little bit more. But like I said before, we'll check this out. And then we'll just do a couple turns. Tighten this, because you'll know when you over tighten it and it makes it too hard. So we're going to tighten up the rest of this. But I think it's nice and snug, you can see. So, but what we did is we adjusted this little bump here. The screw brings this piece up, and then it allows it to be tighter. And then that way this is snug again. And then we're going to show you how to fix the rest of this here in the collar. Okay, so we're going to take out this. This is 5 mil hex. I'm going to take these out because we're going to slide this all off and all that. Be careful obviously with the pole, this wire. But that is what we're going to do. So I'm going to cheat with the power ratchet. Hopefully it goes out easy. All right, we're gonna Loctite that in a sec. Alright, so last time I did this didn't go so smooth. I'm just trying to work this way up slowly. Take my time. Alright. So, hold on, we'll be back. Well, like I said, I was working it back and forth, slid it up. Sorry, I had a customer come in the store. I had to help him. So, surprisingly enough, these are actually sealed bearings. So, the big thing is seeing if this is loose anywhere. See how that's loose? Alright, we just shook up the collar. This thing. So we're going to readjust that. And so what we're trying to do here is make sure that's snug and tight. Because when we tighten everything back down, and then this disc goes back on top, and that's kind of like what's going to keep our pressure. Okay? And that pressure is what's needed in there to hold it all together. Some people might judge me for using a power tool on this because you got to be careful, because you can strip out stuff pretty easy. So let's see here. Alright. So we're going to have to make sure the wheel's straight. Make sure everything's kind of lined up. We can adjust it afterwards if need be. We're going to put some Loctite on this. I'm going to see what happens. Alright, we'll just leave it at that. I'm not going to fight too much. Wow, see how snug that is? I mean, I might have to adjust the folder a little bit, this, but I think it's pretty snug. Holy cow. So that I'm very happy with. So that is awesome. Let's just see right here for a second. Check with this. Alright. Could check with the normal Allen key, but I think that's actually pretty successful there in that sense. I mean, we'll just check it to check it. Make it snug. Alright, let's make sure this is lined up straight. Look at that, it's off. So I'm pretty sure this just moves that easy. Yeah, it does. So, when we get this lined up, we're just going to adjust it right here. I mean, this stuff isn't that precise, but I'd like to get it close to perfect, but it's kind of hard. I think that's pretty darn close. So, we're looking like a success story here. It's always awesome when that happens. We're going to thread lock these so they don't come loose. What was going on there? Must be a tool malfunction. Alright. Now, I'm going to use a hand tool. The Weras. But yeah, see how tight this is? But you can see I got a little bit of adjustment I gotta do in this screw yet. But overall, I take that as a win. So now this scooter has a new tire, inner tube, fix the folder, and we're good to go. Gotta fix these screws yet. Might show you, I don't know, but I'm gonna retap these out most likely and repair that. So, but otherwise it still turns on. We're not getting an error code. So that's good. But that is how you fix the front pole and do the back tire on these razor scooters. Not fun.